something that is major in our news, Iran and everything going on over there with President Trump and taking some action. And we wanted to roll that clip.
I just got off the phone with President Trump. It was a roughly 9-minute phone interview talking about the war in Iran. Just want to give you the quotes. He said, quote, "We're knocking the crap out of them. I think it's going very well. It's very powerful. We've got the greatest military in the world, and we're using it." I asked the president how long he thought this war might last. He said, "I don't want to see it go on too long. I always thought it would be 4 weeks, and we're a little ahead of schedule. We haven't even started hitting them hard. The big wave hasn't even happened. The big one is coming soon." I asked, okay, well, who's going to lead Iran now? President said, "We don't know who the leadership is. We don't know who they'll pick. Maybe they'll get lucky and get someone who knows what they're doing."
President Trump told the New York Post Monday that he's not ruling out sending US ground troops into Iran if they were necessary, adding that Operation Epic Fury was way ahead of schedule after taking out dozens of Tehran's top officials. "I don't have the yips with respect to boots on the ground. Like every president says, there will be no boots on the ground. I don't say it," Trump said after launching strikes Saturday to decapitate Iran's military and political leadership. "I say, probably don't need them, or if they were necessary."
Decapitate a nation and its leadership.
We're knocking the crap out of them.
Knocking the crap out of them. I mean, what everybody was. So the people who do like Trump, they're like, I have an uncle who talks like that. At least he sounds, like a guy you could have a beer with at the VFW.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as the war, we just attacked Iran just a few months ago. We took out their entire top level of military leadership, and now we've taken out the top level of political and military leadership again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just tell you this. If you're thinking about raising your hand to lead something in Iran, you may want to wait a while. This is not a real good time to fill out the application on LinkedIn.
Yeah. What is the message he's sending? I mean, taking Ayatollah out, he's been openly mocking Trump for years.
Yeah. So for Christians, it's kind of interesting. So you're fancy with your laptop, so I brought mine. But when you're talking about what is currently Iran in the Bible, in the Bible it's called Elam and Persia or Medo-Persia, and so. Actually, this is a civilization that goes all the way back to the Old Testament, predominant in the days of Daniel, is in prophecies in Ezekiel and Jeremiah. Ezekiel 38:39 talks about kind of the last days war of Gog and Magog, and one of the nations geographically is Iran. Jeremiah 49 seems to indicate that there'll be a future revival in Iran. And so, what we're seeing in Iran is really interesting because you've got, a dictatorial mullah who's been ruling for 36 years. And he wasn't even high ranking. He was a mid-level. So the fact that he even got the job there's some intrigue there. But what's interesting is we're bombing Islam in Iran, and then we're voting for it in New York and in Minneapolis and in Dearborn. And so the same time that it's failed over there, and 80% of Iranians want regime change.
Yep.
They want open elections. They hate living under Sharia law, the mullahs, and the dictatorship. And while we're bombing it there, we're bringing it here, which is shocking. It's shocking. And they're like right now in Dearborn, Michigan, or in Minneapolis or New York, they're like, I wonder what it'd be like to vote for a Muslim. Well, if we're bombing them, it may not be the best forward path.
The mayor of New York was very against this.
Sure, him and Tucker. They both thought it was evil. And so, then there is the debate. Part of it, too, is what Christians may not understand is possibly the fastest growing Christian base in the Middle East is in Iran. The younger generation that has technology, they want liberty, they want freedom.
Yep.
And you're seeing a strong and growing underground church in Iran.
Yep.
It's not that way like in Turkey.
Yep.
But in Iran, you're seeing a strong generation rise up who love Jesus. You're seeing a lot of people get saved through signs and wonders.
Yep.
They're having dreams and standing before Jesus. And so what you're seeing as well in Iran, you're seeing mosques are closing at a record level, and people want a new regime, they want elections, and they want churches.
And mosques are growing at a record rate in places like Texas.
Yes.
It's wild.
Well, this is what happens when you get familiar with Sharia law and Islam, you hate it. and Americans, in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, bring in, a demonic death cult in the name of, hey, we need to have everything.
Yep.
Why? And so, the debate among the conservatives now obviously is like, well, should we be activated in foreign wars? And Trump ran as an America first. And the question then is, should we be America first or should we be America only?
Yep.
We were talking about it offline with the young guys here, and it makes sense to me. I mean, for a lot of young men, they're like, look, I want to get married to a girl. I want to have kids. I want to buy a house. This is the most conservative generation of young men in the last 50 years. And they're like, hey, can we fix the domestic problems so that we can have a family and a future and do the things that we know are right and good?
Yep.
Why are we spending time, energy, and money trying to repair other countries when we still have brokenness in our own?
Yeah.
And that's, reasonable. And for those who think that America should be isolationistic, not just nationalistic, but isolationistic, they don't want us involved. On the flip side, how many American soldiers have been killed by Iran?
It's like 800.
Okay, so we murdered 800 of our best. In addition, we know that Iran is the head of the snake for state-sponsored terror. They work through their proxy organizations, Hamas, which invaded Israel, the Houthis, Hezbollah. We know that Iran is the bad actor and the puppet master and is kind of the architect of global terrorism.
Yep.
Well, should we get rid of global terrorism? Probably not a bad idea. We also know that we have let an untold number of Iranians illegally into the country without any vetting, and now we have liability of sleeper cells across the country.
A huge liability.
Yeah.
I mean, and we put everyone on notice by going after these countries that, hey, it's not going to fly here. Like, if you do this, you are not coming in to conquer anything. You're not taking any ground. We will respond with a lot of force. And it puts every dictator and every world leader on notice.
Yes.
If we activate those sleeper cells, we could die. A dictator does not want to lose his life. All these guys that are leading these countries, there's no way he thought he was going to get killed.
But I mean, days or weeks before, he was mocking on social media, like, you've never gotten me and you never will. It's like, okay.
Skadoosh.
So the things I do appreciate, just from a leadership perspective, I like the clarity. Hey, come to the table and negotiate, or by this day, there will be a consequence. I like the clarity, and I like the consistency. If you don't come to the table and negotiate, there will be a consequence, and the deadline will not just pass. So the show of strength and peace through strength is something that I'm very glad to see.
They're a nation of death. I was just looking it up.
They murder their own people.
Ayatollah, when he came in 1988, the first thing he did was execute 30,000 political prisoners, with children as young as 13 hanging from cranes. They're known for being the largest executioner of children, executing more kids in 15 years than any other state in the history of the world. Killing children, their own people.
Yeah,
they are evil. And can you negotiate with evil, Pastor?
No, you can't. You can't. No. So, and part of it too is their theology is, if you die a martyr, you get 72 virgins who were roughly around the age of 33, and they will literally sing your praises for all eternity. It's not in the Quran; it's in other Islamic documents, and that they're so beautiful that they can't even be revealed in this world. And that after you have sex with them, they immediately go back to a perpetual state of virginity. So you have 72 gals, and every night for all eternity, you get to pick which one you're going to take the virginity of. And so their vision of heaven is, blow yourself up and you hit the lottery. You hit the harem, brothel lottery. And so when you're dealing with those people, I mean, they're not incentivized to live; they're incentivized to self-destruct.
It is a religion of violence,
of perversion and violence. But for those who are America first, they're like, because at this point, nobody can really say like the Ayatollah is going to be missed. And, he's a person that the world is better if he's not taking a dirt nap. Nobody's going to say that.
Yep.
But then the question is, was that our responsibility? Should have Israel just taken care of that on their own? And meanwhile, we've got domestic problems to deal with.
Yeah, I think, and people are like, well, we dealt with the nuke situation last year. Why are we back there? And that's what Trump said, was they were close to having nukes again, and so we had to go back in. Yeah, I think a lot of people are wrestling with it, and it seems to be dividing the right in a massive way. And it is interesting how much critique Trump is under from the left and the right now.
Yeah.
And how does this translate to the midterms? Was this a smart move, a foolish move? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the midterms are crucial, and if they don't go conservative, we're probably going to be tied up in lawfare for 2 years. And right now, the midterms are hanging in the balance, and the party in power usually doesn't carry the midterms, and usually the enthusiasm is on the opposition to turn out to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the midterms, you'll probably see very high Democratic participation. Sadly, unless they're activated, you'll not see that same on the right.
Mm.
So that's where we find ourselves. But if you are at war, and there is threat of danger, I heard someone say it a while ago, the Democrat Party is the mommy party and the Republican Party is the daddy party.
Yep.
The majority of women are Democrats, the majority of men are Republicans. If you don't feel safe, you vote for dad.
Yep. And I think he's more daddy party than we've ever had. I mean, his comment of all the other presidents will say they won't go boots on the ground. He's like, no, the gun's in I'm concealed carrying. I'll pull it.
Yeah.
Don't make me pull it.
Well, and that's where, for me, I hope and pray and do not want to, like most Americans, do not want to see any boots on the ground. The thought of taking young men and putting them in foreign wars like Iraq, Afghanistan, thank you to everyone who served, but there had to be a day if you were serving, you're like, why am I here? And then after all that was put into places like Iraq and Afghanistan, then to see what they become once we exit, they go right back to, terrorist-run organizations, states. I mean, Afghanistan right now is run by the Taliban. And, and once we toppled Saddam Hussein, they pushed all of the Christians out.
Yeah.
And the church was obliterated in the nation. And so, so I don't want to see boots on the ground. I don't want to see soldiers in harm's way. I don't want to see any of that. It's one thing to send a drone. It's another thing to send a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know he has to say that to negotiate from a strength position. Basically, like, this is, I'm willing to go all the way to the end in the fight. You have to say that at the beginning of a fight. You've got to be willing to go to the end of the fight. But I sure hope and pray that this is just a negotiation tactic.
I mean, yeah, it feels that way when I'm going to come in and strategically take out all your political leaders and your head leader.
Twice.
And then I'm going to flex that I'm fine bringing everybody in. And it feels like he's negotiating hard, but I believe he will go boots on the ground.
If he needs to. Now, what is interesting is they don't have the Second Amendment, because right now, if the Iranians were all an armed citizenry,
yep,
we would need to send boots on the ground. They've already got their own boots.
Yeah.
And so this is where, as a nation, be glad that you have the ability to carry and to defend yourself. Right now, the Iranians the Iranian people, 80% want regime change, and they are seeing their own citizens slaughtered just for political disagreement, not criminal behavior, just disagreement. And they would really, really, really love right now to be in Arizona and carrying.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it is wild, the lack of freedom they have, and we take it for granted here, and a lot of countries would that's why they're all flooding into our country. And they're not all bad people that are immigrating here, but Islam is incompatible with the West. How important is it that we stay out of picking their next leader for Iran?
No, I mean, if we really do believe in freedom and democracy and liberty, then people need to choose their own destiny. And they need to have a fair and free election, and they need to determine how they're going to correct their future.
Yep.
And, ultimately that's what needs to happen.
Yep. Do you think that war with Iran will increase domestic terrorism or keep it at bay?
Short term, it could increase it. Long term, it could decrease it.
Yep.
if you cut the head off the snake, then in the future, they're going to be less likely to be, well, like right now, we've closed the border and we've chopped the head off the snake with the Ayatollah in Iran, so that at least in the long term would indicate that you're going to reduce potential terror threats in the homeland. In the short term, it could activate it, because if they're here,
Yeah.
they're going to act out. And we saw that this week in Texas. We saw a guy show up, property of Allah, and start open firing. And I think he had a Quran in his car. And so, can those things go from individual acts to coordinated groups? Terrifying, but possible.
Yep. Yeah. That was the big news. He was wearing a property of Allah hoodie with a Quran in his car. And funny enough, he tunes into Candace Owens every week and was a avid supporter of her on X. I think that's what's dangerous about social media nowadays, is you can get people so angry.
And some people are just mentally not well. And so they can't understand the difference between hyperbole and a call to action.
Yep. And so, they show up and actually do something that's devastating to so many to prove a point, where those are, 3 people are dead. That's 3 people that don't have a dad coming home, or a mom, or a brother, or a son. This is very, very sad. But that's what Islam is coming into this country to do, is to kill and destroy and take over.
It's convert or die.
Yeah.
So Christianity is a religion of proposition. Would you like to receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Islam is a religion of imposition. It's convert or die. And so it will justify violence for an outcome that is favorable toward Islam. And so everywhere that Islam is gone, it doesn't assimilate or integrate. It overtakes and dominates.
Yep.
And then eventually Sharia law comes and religious freedom is gone, and then what was a free society becomes Islamic regime.
Yeah.
That's historical. That's what happens. That's what happened in Turkey. That's what happened in Egypt. That's just what happens.
Yeah, 100%. And it is interesting with the strikes on Iran and everything going on. There's a whole sect of Christianity trying to look through this with their lens of, is it end times? It's end times, guys. The Lord's coming back. And we stop worrying about our country so much, and we just worry about, is this fulfilling all the prophecies? And Jesus is coming back. We don't have to worry about anything. Is this indicating end times, Pastor Mark?
So, depending upon how you read the Bible, some would look at the prophecies and say these are fulfilled in the past, particularly around the days of Daniel. Others would say, no, these are futuristic to be fulfilled. So there's kind of 2 ways to view these things among people that do love the Bible and are trying to do good scholarship. If you do believe that much of the prophetic work in the Bible is future, you go to places like Ezekiel 38 and 39. It talks about a war of Gog and Magog, where the nations surrounding Israel, they basically align in one last-ditch effort for total genocide to destroy the nation of Israel. One of those geographic areas is today Iran. Okay. And so then the question is, well, then anytime something spins up around Iran, everybody's like, we're there. Well, maybe not, because Iran's been spun up a few times. And I'd say, if anything, what has happened with the last 2 attacks on Iran, which I agree with, from America, is we've lessened their ability to ignite a global war. And so, if your eschatology, if your end times is the nations are going to rise up to destroy and kill all the Jews, then Jesus returns to the Mount of Olives in Israel, Zechariah 14, then actually what we're seeing now would mean that that's further out, because right now Iran doesn't have the ability to ignite a global war, and it does not have the support of the other nations in the region.
No.
Right now, they're just, I don't know, they bombers, they have missiles going off that are hitting Muslim nations and businesses and hotels. So now what you've got surrounding Islamic nations saying, we're against you. And so does this mean we're closer to the end? Actually, this is pushing the timeline out. And so anybody who was like, we're there, it's like, actually, we just reset the clock.
Yeah.
Because Iran isn't strong and they don't have support. And if you believe the Gog-Magog war in Ezekiel 38-39, they are strong and they have support. Well, then we're not there. And the other thing of it is, too, Landon, is you tend to get obsessed with eschatology, end times, when you're older.
Uh-huh.
When you're young, I mean, like where you're at, you're like, you get a wonderful little boy. Like you want to see him hit a ball off a tee. You want to teach him how to ride a bike. You want to teach him how to drive a stick shift. I mean, like you want to add to your family. You want to build your future. And so younger people are like, quit obsessing about things that are completely beyond our control. And let's fix our country. Let's strengthen family. Let's save babies. Like, let's do some things that count. Let's get school choice for kids so they don't get brainwashed by the government. And so the older generations that get obsessed with eschatology, I think they do a disservice because they're not funding and helping the next generation plan for their future because they're saying there isn't one.
Yep.
And this goes all the way back to the days of the New Testament. Like in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, they all thought Jesus was coming back in 15 minutes, so they all quit their jobs. So Paul writes, was like, hey, go back to work. He's not coming for a while. And that was 2,000 years ago.
Because I think we all have main character syndrome. We're like, oh yeah, of course we'll be the one. I mean, Jesus is coming back.
Totally.
We'll be here when he comes back.
When I'm here.
Yeah. It could be 10,000 years. Like, I mean, realistically, it's a blink for the Lord. Like,
well, it's beyond our control. And so they asked Martin Luther one time, they said, what would you do if you knew Jesus was returning tomorrow? And he said, I would plant a tree. And it's basically like, just if he does come back, be doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Don't say, man, I'm glad you came back because I racked out my credit card and I'm defaulted on my mortgage and I was about ready to, go into creditor's jail because, but thankfully you came back, Lord. I knew you were, so I just stopped working and paying my bills.
Yeah, it's a very short-sighted mindset, and it just leads to a lot of unhealth, and it doesn't leave a legacy. Christians are not planning for generations from now. It doesn't feel like where the Muslims are. They're planning for 100 years.
The communists are.
That's how a nation is stolen. It's not over 5 years. It's over 500 years. It's 50 years. And consistently, Muslims have taken over countries over decades, not minutes.
Yeah.
In America, we are much younger than they have been fighting and taking over nations for a long time. We'll get to more of that in the last segment, just talking about what can young men actually do to fight the coming war with Islam and that's coming to our nation, but how can we live a life that is fruitful and flourishing?
Thanks for watching this video. It's a great honor to help you learn the Bible. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I promise you there'll be more to come.